Hello, Mr. Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing one of the topic, that is the future incidents. This thing basically we have discussed and that is connecting with this topic only basically. That is basically middle basically who is that person basically. So in this basically we are discussing one story basically of Sunil Nair basically. I have taken myself an example only basically. So that basically everything should be clear basically. Everything should be clear basically. Everything should be clear. So one other person told that everything should be clear. So one other person told that software companies basically are not giving you job. That means this group basically are connected, and the army group basically of whole world basically mostly are connected basically. That is also 100% sure. That is 98%. This groups and this group basically are both are one basically. How basically, that I will tell you basically with this example. And this example we have seen many times basically. Many times basically. See basically, this is the best video. See basically.
I know it's hard to believe, but this year we will mark 10 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and it was the worst non-wartime terror attack in the U.S. 2,752 people died when those two planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York.
Sound video basically. Sound actually here I'll see only basically disappear. So we will see that video only basically. So we will go back to history, and in history basically we are going to see this.
आप सभी का स्वागत है। आइए आपके कमेंट का रिप्लाई करते हैं। फिलीपींस वीजा ऑन अराइवल की वीडियो पे हम
9/11 would become a date to remember. It's the job of a president is to protect the American people from harm. And some presidents don't need to worry about that, and some do. And it turns out I was one that did.
My assistant came in and said, a plane is at the World Trade Center. And I said, well, that's a strange accident. And I called the president. Initially, we thought maybe a small plane of some kind. And he said, well, keep me posted.
He'd been told that a small twin-engine prop plane crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Oh, that's a horrible accident. I was concerned, but I did not think of it as a national security threat.
Every day.
Him on the handset.
Of air in the room. Some people put their hand. When the second plane hit, there was an audible gasp of air in the room. Some people put their hand on their chest. It was two realizations, right? One, that the immediate death toll, and then the fact that this was an attack on America.
More! Yes, more. Get ready. Life. Yes, life.
Literally was the message he had to hear, whether he wanted to or not.
Andy Card comes up to behind me and says, second plane is at the second tower, America's under attack. And I'm watching a child read. And so I waited for the appropriate moment to leave the classroom. I didn't want to do anything dramatic. I didn't want to, lurch out of the chair and scare the class.
I was studying him intently, and his mouth was, I could tell he was really focused on trying to get through that event.
He thought he was about as a president. It's changing right in front of you.
So one other person told that basically this was that incident basically, which was few people says that basically This was planned by India and USA, both army group basically. Few people says that basically that was incidents basically, and story was given as a Bin Laden. Means how basically these two group basically, that I will tell. This two group means this and this basically, not this everything. This group basically don't know anything. This and this group basically, American Indian Army group basically. One of the person told that how basically you can say that basically. Then Sunil Arnair basically told that basically check to the Himalaya mountain and Mount Everest basically. There might be lakhs of plane basically has crashed basically there. Not one or two basically, lakh basically. Daily basically if 1,000 plane basically is getting crashed basically, see the count basically. Count it basically. You will go cross the 1 lakh basically. So one of the person basically, that is Sunil Arnair, told that basically that is possibility basically. That is possibility. So another person told that yes basically possibilities are basically there, but the plane was not supposed to hit to World Trade Center basically. That was hitted basically. Due to that basically few people basically that like that, few people like Tata Group basically came back to India basically. That means Tata Group also basically knows lots of things basically. One of the person told that also. Tata Group also basically knows lots of things basically. So that was basically the by mistake basically the plane was crashed. That was not supposed to get crashed. Why basically that, how basically this was tracked basically, that I will tell you that. One of the person basically is counting basically one plane crash. He basically have the assume basically just taking as an incident basically. In really basically this is correct, or basically that need to check basically when you go to Himalaya mountain and Mount Everest basically. One person basically sitting in there basically, and he is basically checking at this time basically one plane crash. Tick. This plane crash. Like this basically he checked basically in 2001 basically I am telling about. In 2001. That day basically 6 plane basically got missed basically. 6 plane basically was missing. 6 to 7 plane, whatever plane basically hit in the few plane basically hit in the Pentagon also. So few people say that basically 7 to 8 plane basically hit in the World Trade Center, Pentagon and military house. Basically whatever basically, that basically I exactly don't know where it basically is dead. Because it might possible that few plane basically which was crashed, that might not have was displayed in front of the world basically. And that was the verification of the news group basically. Few people says that also basically. So that also is basically there basically. So one of the person told that in this basically lots of things basically incidents basically happened in this time basically. In this time basically lots of incidents basically was happened basically. One of the person told that that was not supposed to hit to the World Trade Center. It was supposed to go to the Mount Everest and Himalaya mountain basically, because 7 to 8 plane basically was missing basically in that person's count basically. And that person's count basically. And at that time basically who was the defense minister, who was the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh? That was this person. And currently basically who is the defense minister? That is also this person. So see basically it's not basically, lots of people say that basically I think this is basically just coincidence basically. But this is not coincidence here basically. This is not coincidence basically. That means something is going to happen, that is 100% sure basically in India. Mark my word basically. So one of the person told that army group basically are always ready basically, Sunil Arnair. Army of India basically is always ready. Because they say that basically Earth planet basically can move to any side basically. So we are basically always ready. Not only India and army basically. That's the each and every army group basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about the army group and Bollywood group basically, how they are connected with each other.